Hello, welcome back to Healing Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Val, aka Healing Mama, and today's episode is entitled It's Okay to Feel Tired. Don't give up. This is how I've been feeling lately. I've been feeling like I push myself to continue to work on myself, and it kind of goes back into last week's episode. If you were able to watch it, I know I had some glitches. It wasn't letting me post on YouTube or Facebook, but if you need to catch that episode from last week, it is on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. But yeah, this kind of like follows up into it. So I feel like I have been on the struggle bus lately in terms of trying to allow myself to not feel guilty for continuing to try to focus 100% on healing. Yes, I am still healing. Yes, I'm still utilizing the tools, but I'm trying to allow myself the ability to live life and to enjoy life versus being stuck in this healing mindset of where I have to heal, I have to heal, I have to heal. And I'm so busy focused on healing that I don't get to live life and fully enjoy it to the fullest. And so recently, a friend and I were talking, and she was telling me, I'm tired, Val. I'm tired. Everything I've been through in life, my struggles, the ups and downs, sometimes I just feel like giving up. And my job is never to judge anybody. My job is to hold space for you in my heart when you're going through things. And so I listened to her and I give her a hug and I told her, I understand. I've been in your shoes. I know what that feels like. And so, not to get too much into her personal business, but I just wanted to say I am very much aware and familiar with the feeling. And so, this episode is dedicated to anyone who is feeling exhausted right now, exhausted with life, with your situation. This is for anyone who feels like they have to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. For my listeners who are healing, who are parenting, who are working on themselves, for the people who are showing up every day for others and quietly wondering to themselves, how much more can I take of this? And if that's you right now, I want you to listen to this episode and really hear me. And if you can imagine as if I'm sitting next to you and we're having this conversation. And I want you to be honest with yourself. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to need rest. It's okay to even admit that you're struggling. And at one point in time, that is a thought that I couldn't even imagine saying. I couldn't imagine letting those words come out of my mouth that I'm tired. But what I want to tell you is please don't give up, because through every dark night, there's a brighter day. This is just a season, a temporary moment in life that will pass. And I want you to know that there's a huge difference between giving up on yourself and needing rest. So, whatever you're doing, if you're folding clothes, cooking dinner, you're at work just listening to the podcast, just sit with me and breathe with me for a bit and be honest with yourself. And let's just get into it and let's dive deep into this episode. So, when I was thinking about this episode, I started going through things that I wanted to talk about. And I thought, okay, what are the things that I've felt throughout my struggles, throughout this journey? And one of was I always felt the pressure to be strong, right? Whether that's strong as a mother, strong as a wife, strong as a daughter, strong as a friend, I always felt that pressure. And somewhere along the way, I feel that I learned that slowing down meant weakness. And if I did slow down, then I meant in some type of way I wasn't strong as a person. I learned that strong people don't cry, strong people don't show emotion, they don't show their feelings. And that couldn't be further from the truth. If anything, I feel like it takes a lot of strength and courage to speak the heaviness that's on your heart, to speak the heaviness that's in your soul and everything that you've been carrying with you that you feel is just dragging you down. I learned that strong people don't give up. We push through. We don't ask for help. And a big one for me is I felt like I learned that I had to sacrifice myself in order to help others. And while that resilience is beautiful in a sense, it becomes a point to where we're constantly carrying everything, everyone's burdens, everyone's struggles, and that becomes unbearable. It's really unsustainable. And I know this because I've lived these things. There have been seasons in my life, even recently, where I felt like I had to keep moving no matter how exhausted I was. And that would drain me emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in every kind of way. I was healing through trauma when I started the trauma journey. I was trying to be a good mom. I was trying to show up for work every day. I was trying to provide for my family, trying to show up for myself in any way possible, even though I didn't know what that was at the time. But somewhere in the middle of that, I forgot that I was human. I forgot that I needed to pour into myself. And I feel like that's what a lot of us do, right? We're so far into the titles that we carry as family members, as spouses, as mothers, as fathers, and we're so into these titles and to wearing these hats and making sure that we're doing the best that we can in these positions that we start to forget that we're human. We start to forget that it's okay to ask for help, that we don't need to carry all these burdens alone. Sometimes we forget that even strong people are allowed to get tired. And I feel like for me, a big one was if I admitted that I was tired, that meant that I was weak. That meant that I was failing in a sense, because why couldn't I muster up the strength to just get it done? Because that's the way I had operated my entire life. And I want to make one thing clear: being tired doesn't mean that you're weak. It really just means that you've been carrying a lot without releasing that energy, without releasing the hurt, the frustration. And maybe today, instead of judging yourself, maybe today we look at it differently. Maybe today we can acknowledge everything that we've been through, everything that we've survived, and we're still here. Because let's be honest, if you're listening to this podcast, more than likely you've made it through things that should have broken you. They should have broken me. I've made it through things. I've carried burdens that nobody's seen. I still to this day carry burdens that nobody's seen. I go through things, right? Just because I sit here and I talk to you guys on this podcast and I give you tools and talk to you about my healing journey doesn't mean that I don't go through struggles. Doesn't mean that my day-to-day is in a battle at times. It doesn't mean that I'm not carrying any burdens, any weight. It just means that I have the tools that I need to try to live the best life that I can and pour back into myself. That's why I'm here. I'm not perfect. I'm not somebody to sit here and preach to you or tell you that I have it all together, because I'm a human being. I don't. I'm going to fall and I'm going to get back up. I'm going to have scraped legs. I'm going to have bruises. I'm going to have bleeding, but I'm going to get back up because now I have the tools. But I would be lying to you if I sat here and I told you I've never cried tears that nobody's seen. I've never had moments to where my world felt like it was tumbling down. But guess what? I'm still here. That's what matters. And so in this episode, I want you to remember that the whole point of this is that healing starts to begin when you stop pretending that everything's okay. And if it is okay for you, great. But there at some point in time will be a moment where it's not okay, right? So knowing and having the tools that you need to get to the end result and know that you're going to be okay and it's a passing moment, utilize this episode. But if you're in that moment right now, just know that it is a passing moment. And I feel like one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that just because I rest doesn't mean that I'm quitting. Just because I'm taking a break, I'm taking time to breathe, taking time for myself, doesn't mean that I'm quitting. It means I'm putting things on pause in order to take care of myself and be at 100% and be what I need to be. And I feel like for me, a big chunk of the time before I started this healing journey, I felt like if I slowed down, if I did any kind of rest, that means I was going to put myself behind what I envisioned for my life. If I took time for myself or I took a moment, then I was going to lose that momentum. But what if rest is actually a part of this process? Think about nature, right? There's seasons. The trees have seasons, the earth has seasons. Everything that my higher power has created in this universe has seasons of rest and seasons of growth. But yet, why do we expect ourselves to go at full capacity at 100% year round, 365 days a year, and not have a season? That's not sustainable. You don't have to earn rest. It is your God given ability to take that time for yourself. And you don't have to prove to yourself or others that you're exhausted enough to take a breath, to take a break, to take rest. You don't need permission to breathe. And honestly, sometimes the rest is what we need to keep us going. I would say 90% of the time, that's what we need in order to keep going through this season, to go through the struggles that you're having, to go through the moments, the feelings, the aches, the pains, anxiety, the depression. Sometimes you need rest. And I don't know if this is true, but I had seen a video of Jim Carrey talking about depression. And he said, break it down. Your body needs deep rest when you are depressed. And that really hit home, right? It means my body is tired. My brain is physically and chemically altered to not produce the serotonin that's needed in order for me to be at full capacity, right? That's what depression is. And so when he said that, that really stuck to me. And I told myself, I need to allow myself to rest. It's okay to breathe. So maybe our next breakthrough isn't found in working harder, trying to heal harder, right? Maybe it's in slowing down long enough to hear ourselves again, to reconnect with the little versions of us inside. And I used to think that healing had a certain time frame, right? Like if I worked and worked and worked on healing for a year, that I would be healed and that the trauma would all be gone and that I would be normal. And now that I am deep into this healing journey, what I'm discovering is that there is no end, right? There's no finish line for healing. Life happens, traumas happen, situations arise, grief happens, and I have to continue to utilize the tools in order to get to the finish line of life. But there's no end to healing. So when I stopped looking at it as having a finish line and thinking, okay, if I go through all of this inner child healing and I go through all of this and I work towards it, there's going to be a finish line to healing. When I was thinking about it like that, it felt like healing was taking forever, right? And then one day it just came to me and I'm like, hey, this is life. Like things are always going to happen and I'm going to continue to experience different things that may bring more trauma or may bring pain or hurt or sadness. And I have to work through that. So now I'm looking at it differently. And in all honesty, healing can be exhausting. Working through these steps, through these stages can be exhausting. And I don't feel like people talk about that enough. When you look at YouTube videos or TikToks or Instagrams of motivational speakers or healing podcasts, I feel like most of the time, of course it's motivational. They want to encourage you, but I don't feel like they ever talk about how heavy it is and how hard it is and how sometimes it can be extremely draining to continue on this healing journey because what we look at and we celebrate are the pretty things, right? The breakthroughs, which of course are good, the transformations, the success stories. But I've really never heard anybody, or I should say, rarely have I heard anybody talk about the middle part, the messy part, the healing part, the part that just breaks you to your core and you're like, okay, how much longer can I do this? Because in all honesty, some days I feel empowered. Some days I feel strong. Some days I know that I'm on the right path and I'm aligned with my greatest and highest good. And then there's other times and moments where I feel like I have put myself right back into situations or places or emotions or feelings that I've worked so hard to come through and work on. And that could be discouraging, right? So then at that moment, I have to sit there and be honest with myself and tell myself, this is a season, this is a moment. It's a passing moment and I will get through this. And tell myself just because I have hard days doesn't mean that I'm not healing. Just because I'm tired doesn't mean I'm going backwards. And in all honesty, I've realized that growth doesn't seem like a huge thing momentarily, right? It's not until you're months, you're a year down the road and you're like, wow, I've really come so far. Growth can also look like the fact that you can recognize patterns in yourself. It looks like choosing healthier responses and you know how to make those decisions and how to make those choices to respond accordingly. And a big one is the fact that you're having conversations that in the past you may have chose to avoid. That's growth. And I want you to remember healing isn't perfection. Healing isn't a straight line. It's up, down, sideways, reverse, left, right, everywhere. It's a hot mess sometimes. But throughout this process, I would say one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn is keeping promises to myself and not just promises to other people. Promises to work on my health, promises to spend time for me and doing things that make me happy, not as a wife, not as a mother, not as a daughter, not as a friend, not as a sister, but me at my core. For so many years, I poured into other people, fully neglecting myself. But now I've realized something. The relationship with myself matters too. That connection with my younger self matters as well. So I started thinking about it, right? And I started asking myself, can I trust myself? When I say that I'm going to the gym, do I do it? When I say that I'm going to stop eating sugar, do I do it? When I say that I'm going to do something for myself to take care of myself, do I do it? Because those small promises matter. Those small actions matter, right? Am I showing up for myself just as much as I would for my children? And honestly, it's probably 50-50 at this moment. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I pour into myself 24/7. I wish that was the case, but that's not life for me at this present moment. And I don't even know if that's realistic, right? Who knows? I'll let you know maybe a year from now if that happens. But every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're rebuilding that connection, that trust with the little version of you. And healing requires trust. So if all you can do today is take one small step, I challenge you to let it be a promise to yourself. Fulfill a promise to yourself today, whether that's taking a walk, drinking more water, taking a break when you need it, whatever it is. I ask you to challenge yourself to keep that promise because that does matter. And I want you to remember that your higher power never created you to walk this journey of life alone. Maybe you've been trying to keep everything to yourself, the pain, the worry, the uncertainty, the struggle, the fear. But have you ever wondered if maybe you're so exhausted because you've been trying to carry it alone and you were never meant to? And I feel like one of the main things my higher power is constantly trying to teach me is to surrender, right? To surrender my fears, my situations, my struggles, my anxieties, my worries. It's not mine to carry. What surrendering looks like for me is telling God, I trust you, even though I don't understand this situation, even though I don't know what the outcome is going to be, even though I try to look ahead into the future. I trust you and I give it to you because I know at the end of the day, life is happening for me, not to me. And everything is for my greatest and highest good. So surrendering looks like giving it to my higher power even though I don't understand it. There have been moments where I don't know what's coming next in life, moments where I feel overwhelmed or I want answers and I don't really see any answers or signs. And what I learned was that faith doesn't mean having certainty in something, having the outcome of something. Sometimes having faith is just taking the next step and giving it to your higher power. Sometimes having faith is just getting out of bed in the morning. Sometimes having faith is choosing hope for one more day. And you don't have to know how everything's going to work out, right? You just have to show up, get up in the morning, and give it to God. Keep pushing forward one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one moment, 1 second, 1 minute at a time. Before we close, I want to speak to those of you that feel like you are just giving up. You're like, oh, I don't care about anything you've had to say today. I need to give up. I want to give up. That doesn't necessarily have to be on life, right? It could be on a dream. It could be on a situation. It could be on this healing journey because it's tough. I want to remind you of the goal. The goal in this is the relationship with yourself. It's the surrender and the hope that you have to know that your higher power has your greatest and highest good at heart in mind. And I want you to remember you've survived 100% of the hardest days that you've had in your life and you're still here. But I want to remind you not to ignore your exhaustion. You're human. It's okay. So rest. Cry if you need to. Call a friend that you can trust. Call a loved one that could hold space for you in their hearts. And if you don't have anybody, reach out to me. You can DM me, you can email me, whatever the case is. I'm here to hold space for you in my heart. I know what it feels like. I've been there. Take a break, ask for help, slow down, and don't abandon that version of you that you're still becoming. I know it's tough. And if nobody's told you lately, I'm proud of you. Not because you're perfect, not because you have it all together, but because you're still here. You're still listening. You're still trying to grow. You're still trying to learn. And for that, I applaud you. And I want you to remember your story isn't finished. Your healing isn't over. And your best chapters are still ahead of you. We got this. Thank you all for spending time with me today. Thank you for listening, joining, watching, however you're streaming. I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. And if this episode encouraged you or you know somebody that's going through it and they just need to hear this, share it with them, tag them in it, screenshot it, share it, whatever it is. I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow. I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Riverside, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can find me across all socials at Healing Mama Podcasts, with the exception of TikTok, where you can find me at Healing Mama Pod. Until next time, I send you guys so much love, peace, joy, happiness, positivity, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye, guys.